Hello, everybody, and welcome to BC Buckets. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Today, Colin, we have an interesting comparison of two
Mhm.
6'9" forwards. We have Asa Newell and Noa Essengue. Newell, freshman year at Georgia, 19 years old. Noa Essengue at Ulm out of France, 18 and a half years old. So Essengue is a little younger. This was this was this was very, very interesting to me. Like the we can scout individual players all we want, but like putting them against each other, this is why I love doing this because it really makes you like think about the details and like what the
Yeah,
differences are. Because honestly, these are very similar players, very similar builds, I think, both at like 6'9". We'll get into all the details, but like honestly, I see a lot of similarities in their game. Both of them, you're hoping can shoot the ball. Um, just a lot of similarities. So, do you have one that's higher, or are they like the same to you?
these guys are mirrors of each other. I mean, the only reason I guess I'd take Noah over Asa just for age reasons. Um, but in terms of what they both do well and what they both don't do well, they're pretty much exactly the same player. I mean, you already kind of mentioned it. Both of them need to work on their shot. I think both of them shot 29% from three.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both of them shot in the mid 70s at the free throw line. Both of them only basically get assisted on every shot. Don't really have
Mhm.
a creation
I
game
think
at
it was
all.
Asa was at. Oh, I had it written down. It's like 6.5 assist percentage, and Noah was at 8 assist percentage, something
Yeah,
like that.
it's
Incredibly
really
low.
low. It is, yeah, it's 8 and yeah, almost 9 and almost 7 for both of
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
very,
so
very low assist rates, and so that's where it's like, if we wanna we'll start on the offense side of the ball. I will say, I believe more in Asa as a shooting prospect than Noah. Very, very, it's not a big difference, but Asa, watching him at Georgia, he shot it with confidence, like, a lot of times, and Noah did too at times, but I like Asa would really, like, pick and pop a lot of times, which
mhm.
kinda goes into, like, one of my question marks for him is he's not a great, like, role man because he's just
Yeah,
not,
I had that
like,
written down as well.
assertive enough or strong enough at the rim. So he has to pop a lot, but he would pop and the form doesn't look bad, like, at all. Noah, it's not as smooth of a shot, but also shot it with some confidence. Again, like you said, he's a year younger, so maybe that year really helps him. But if we're just starting at that perspective, I do have Asa a little bit more polished as a shooting prospect. But like you said, neither one does a ton on ball here. I thought it was interesting looking up Noah's, like, obviously we read as much as we can, we watch as much as we can, and so on. Just the amount of people that really buy into Noah's, I don't want to say playmaking, that's too strong a word, but like his
No, that's that
vision, like his
people
feel.
do buy into that, and I mean, I get it, like,
Mhm.
okay, like, if you're watching both of them, obviously, you don't want these 2 players who are gonna be basically playing power forward, hybrid, center, whatever you wanna call it, roles. They're not gonna be passing the ball a lot, but I don't think either of them, when I was watching them, I went, "Oh, like, he could be a passer, he could be a hub, or he could
Short
be a
roller.
short roller." Like, I mean, if I had to nitpick, I think Noah would be the better passer, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's a tier above or anything like that. I think Asa would be more so not because just the role that he played at Georgia more so than not being able to do it right. I mean, there was a few where Asa was able to, he'd hop step down and then hit the wing or hit the corner, and it's just like, okay, they can both do that pass. And
Yeah.
same with Noah. It's like, cool bounce pass, Noah. Good job. I
Yeah.
will say, when you talk about scoring, you mentioned what they do similarly with the shooting and not creating a shot. I do think each of them have two differences. Uh, One is transition scoring. I think Noah is much better at transition
For
scoring
sure.
than Asa, and I think that's going to hurt Asa on the draft board just because Noah's able to run the floor when he plays defense and get the steal and score off of that, whereas Asa, like you said, isn't really assertive. Um, and then the other thing is that in between game a little bit, I don't want to say that Ace is a pull up, but he is kind of like, because he doesn't get to the rim so much, he has like a floater, almost like a little push shot
Mhm.
that he can put in. Um, so if Ace is able to develop that at the rim presence, then that floater or push shot, I think, will come in uh, a little bit more.
Yeah, he
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna add that he is very, I mean, again, similar to Sen Essengay, uh Newell is very reliant on being set up at the rim,
Yeah, I mean,
in those ways.
I don't have the numbers for
I have him. I mean, he
Asa
finished pretty well. I have him at 67% at the rim in half court,
for
which
which
is a
one?
very good percentage. Now, that doesn't take into account, like you said, all the times that he gets stopped and has to turn around and do that damn hook shot that he
Yeah,
throws at the backboard and it banks in a lot of
yeah.
times. That's like purely dunks, layups, whatnot. But again, I think the touch and the finishing, like he is able to be creative in a way that Essengue is just not right now. Essengue is very much either he's at the rim or he's not. And Essengue is even more like I'm glad you brought up the transition because he's honestly like kind of like a big wing in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just a ball of clay right now, and we don't
Yeah.
know which way he's going to develop. He could put on 20 pounds in the next 2 years and be a real 4, or he can stay at this size and try to be a rangy wing or something like that. I think there's a lot of ways Essengue could go. So if you are into that type of thing as an evaluator and just getting a young guy and whatever team is drafting him, you just want a ball of clay, then yeah, you take Essengue. I think there is a little gap offensively in terms of refinement and feel in terms of scoring that I think Newell has over Essengue. But again, it's not substantial. It's not like I'm running to the podium to draft Newell over Essengue if I'm at pick 22 or something.
Yeah.
It is a conversation, and you have to figure out who's more, the work ethic, the attitude, and all that stuff. So, but yes, that was a long way of saying I think their offensive games are very similar.
And last thing I'll mention on their offense before we move on, we already know Asa doesn't really have that presence at the rim. Essengue is also not there either. I mean, 69% at the rim, but 54% on layups. So if he's not dunking the ball, like you mentioned with Asa, it's also kind of a problem where what really offensive role do they fill outside of being a dunker spot? Or in Essenge's case, transition buckets, because
Yeah.
that's where he also kind of thrives. So
I have it written down like Noah's at his best when he's a cutter or he's in transition.
yeah. Yeah.
And he had some like roll man type stuff again where he catches it and goes and finishes and whatnot, but it's very, very project based right now with Noah. You have to figure out if you draft him, you have to know what you're going to try to do with him in the next coming years. The shooting, like I said at the beginning, both have potential. We'll see. I'm gonna have to see it.
Yeah.
I know Noah hit like 3 threes against the Trailblazers in the preseason game last year. I need to see a little bit more of it. Because honestly, he airballs way too many shots.
Another thing to your point too is Asa had a much higher volume on threes than Noah did. So
yeah, Noah Asa came off looking to shoot, and I think he knows he needs to shoot it at the next level. So
yeah.
like, I think there's a self-awareness level to Asa being like, I need to be able to shoot the ball. Like I'm a tweener. I'm probably a 4 right now. He has to be able to do that. So let's flip it to defense. Again, it's tough. I think both of them, I think I have written down, Asa's had a really low defensive rebounding percentage. And it kind of speaks to him just not playing big at times. I know he can kind of get some stocks here and there, but he just doesn't feel very impactful defensively. And that's my biggest gripe with Asa. Asa offensively, you can sell me on that. The defense is like he's a step behind. Like he's actually a step slow processing it. So that is my biggest concern with Asa right now.
Yeah, I think you have to hope that you don't need him to play inside and that he can kind of be more of a wing type player. I know he hasn't played like that, but he has the build for it. Unfortunately, like he's not bulky. He has to fill out his frame a little bit more. And with him being a year older than Noah, it's going to be a problem in terms of making that happen. So I think, to your point, I think the best spot for him as a defensive role would be play the 4, maybe hopefully be able to defend the 3, and then be a secondary rim protector. But if you're playing inside or trying to do that hybrid role that a lot of NBA teams are going to like to do, where they play smaller,
play 5. No.
I don't think he can play the 5. And that's what he played at Georgia most of the time. And part of that's because he was the tallest player on Georgia. But also,
I didn't have that said. Did he actually play the 5 most of the time at Georgia?
Yeah, just because he was the tallest player.
Okay.
Sorry
to cut you off. I was just
no, you're fine. But point being, it's defensively he can't do that, and you're going to need to be on the court and be able to guard 3s and 4s. You're going to have to shoot the 3 too. So that goes into your point about that. Offensive rebounding percentage is pretty good though, 14%.
Yes, I do like That is something I did like a lot for Asa was his offensive rebounding percentage. That is, we should have brought that up on the offense side of the ball. But yes, he does go and get the ball at a high level. So I did feel good about it. And maybe that's promising for his defensive rebounding percentage. Maybe it's just kind of a feel thing. But I think, again, it's kind of speaks to him being not fully big enough and not fully like instinctive enough to go get it defensively.
Hmm.
But I think there's hope for
Yeah.
that, for him to be a high level rebounder. It's just we haven't seen it yet.
Moving on to Noah. Again, same type of player. I think that Noah is a little bit better laterally moving and recovering because of his length.
Yeah.
More of a fluid athlete, I guess I'd say, than Asa. We already talked about him in transition and be able to make defensive plays to do that. But I think it goes to the same thing where he's able to play more of the wing, and he's going to have to guard fours and threes. He's not going to be able to be that hybrid role at all. Just because same thing, just not big enough, just not physical enough. I think his defensive rebounding percentage is better,
Yes.
18%. But it's not like when you're watching him, you're like, oh, like he's going to get the ball. So just really the same problem as Asa in that sense.
He only had I think his shot blocking percentage was very low, and I didn't see the activity level that I don't know if you have the shot block.
I don't
in
have
front of
block
you.
percentage, but
Yeah, he only averaged 0.6 blocks per game, and albeit in
yeah.
24 minutes. So it's just very much. I have written down, and it seems kind of mean, I guess, but he kind of just floats at times.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think the engagement off ball especially is like,
yeah,
it's
it's
just
not. He's not really being assertive out
no.
there. If we're gonna post our video on Noah Pinda or on Pinda here pretty soon. And I think there's like Noah Pinda, sorry. I was like Noah Essengue. I was like, am I
Yeah.
but we're gonna post our video on Pinda soon. I think you like look at those two like as defensive like is like a different world of like those two. And so like that's where he needs to get to. We'll see if he does get to that level at any point, but I just I didn't see the activity level that I need to see from Noah at this point. I'm trying to think. Anything else here? I don't know. Like it's I have Ace. I'm gonna have Ace like a couple spots ahead of Noah on my board. Probably
Yeah, I mean,
better.
I think it depends on what you want. I think if you want, like, you're not going to get, if you think you can get a star out of one of them, it would have to be Noah. Like, I mean, not star,
Yes,
but starter, I guess. Like, I don't see any of these guys as like high level starters as
I
a
agree.
ceiling. I just can't see that happening. I mean, if we want to get into comps,
Right.
like for Asa, I have Nick Claxton as a comp, like a guy that just kind of being undersized forward
Yeah,
and hopefully develops that shot. You don't like that comp?
I didn't. Claxton's too good of a defender for him. I have written down John Collins, which I know John Collins scores the ball a lot more, but I think like that's what you're hoping for with Ace. So like you're hoping that he can be that offensive player because he's not defensively, and while he's a good rebounder, he's not a five. So John Collins was one, and then I was like, if the shot comes around, which I like I said, I kind of believe in the shot with Asa.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys end up shooting the ball pretty well. But I do have Jeremy Grant written down as well for Asa. So those are my two: John Collins, Jeremy Grant.
Like
Again,
OKC, Jeremy Grant, I'm assuming, right?
yeah,
Or
something like
yeah,
that.
okay, yeah.
Something like that. So that's where I'm at with those two. All right. With Noah, where
I
you at?
have Bilal Coulibaly. You just, I mean, not the same potential when you watch Coulibaly a few years ago, but just that gangly, like you said, like clay of a player that you're going to try to develop when you draft him.
I had this was very tough for me. I have Najee Marshall, and then I was like, maybe Bobby Portis
Bobby Portis.
as a guy who like again can play the four and can kind of stretch the floor a bit, but isn't like super impactful. It's just kind of like a guy everyone likes there. But again, he would have to put on some weight if he was going to be Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is also 10 years older than him. But
Where do you think the ceiling floor is for both these guys? You mentioned drafting, like a lot of people are talking about drafting him in the teens, or
dude,
some
no, I just
even
read
in
an
the lottery.
article. I just read
Some
an
even in the
article,
lottery.
and I know I've been kind of subdued this episode. I feel like I've brought enough energy here, but like There was I just read an article where a Nets writer said, "Should we take him at number 8?"
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the same article. That's why I asked.
Number 8
Yeah. This
for
is
Noah
for Essengue, by
Essengue?
the way. Yeah.
Noah Essengue at number 8? Did we learn nothing from Tajon Salon last year? Did we learn
Mhm.
nothing? And I understand they are different products, but prospects, but honestly, Salon was more filled out. He was more athletic, like he was stronger. I think the shot for Salon was kind of a little bit more developed than what Essenga's is. Salon as a defender, I kind of bought more at this
Oh
point,
yeah, 100% as a defender.
and
Yeah.
I had Salon like at 20 on my board.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? Asking if he's a lottery pick here because I've seen it consistently, and people are trying to convince themselves that he has great feel, that he has great touch around the rim, that the shot's going to develop. Why are we betting on this? Why
Mhm.
are we betting on this? If you want to take a 4-man, no, actually, you shouldn't be taking either one of these guys in the lottery. Bottom line. But if you're in 15 to 20 range, I would say just take Asa Newell because if you're in 15 to 20, you're probably a decent team. And Asa Newell, I think in a couple years could potentially be a rotation player. I don't take Noa Essengue.
So ceiling floor on both of them.
Ceiling for both of them. That's kind of mean. I don't know. I don't. It depends on the team, but like on a good team, like playoff team, like top 6 seed team, rotation big.
Yeah. That's what I got for both
If
of them as
there's a
well.
bad team, yeah, they could start on the Hornets or something. I don't know the Wizards, but like, but no, on a good team, they're going to be a rotation big. That again, if they develop offensively enough, I think they could be valuable. But defensively, they have a long ways to go right now.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, Asa will be 24, Noah will be 23. Crazier
We'll
things have
see.
happened.
We'll see.
I just, yeah, I don't see that for Noah. I don't see that for Noah. Not yet.
I agree.
All right. Thank y'all for joining us. Leave us a like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Let us know what you think down below. Who's the better forward? Are you on the Noah Essengue train? Don't be. Don't be. All right. We'll talk to you later.